Welcome to Chapter 5. You have made the right choice in your quest to unravel the secrets of music. By the end of this chapter, your understanding of music will change drastically and light bulbs will likely start turning on. Why? Well, that's because logic and numerical facts will be presented to you like never before. The objective of this chapter is to help you master the ever-powerful intervals of thirds in the 5 essential modes. And as you know, those would be the Ionian, the Dorian, the Lydian, the Mixolydian, and the Aeolian. Science and scholars have agreed that if we were to meet aliens from other planets, math would be the universal language that everybody would speak. This is the very exact language that I'm speaking about here. Math is perfect, or at least perfect enough. But much like trigonometry, it really isn't thrilling party conversation. However, by showing them that every scale and chord has at least one corresponding mode, you will be the thrill of the party. And you may be wondering, well, what do you mean by there more than one corresponding mode? Remember, a chord simply means you are playing more than one note at the same time. If you play the root third root, which is the octave, or the root fifth root, you can make some phenomenal music, and people have made a career out of doing this. But with that little definition, that leaves a lot of other numbers unclassified, so there's more than one mode available for many chords. When a musician plays a chord or a scale, obviously they won't play all 7 notes of the mode at the same time. Why? Well, that's because it would sound terrible. It would give the ear no sense of direction. As a consequence, all chords and scales consist of only a few select notes of the mode that they represent. As you will soon see, in all of the chords and scales that you will hear, the majority of the time the third will be present. Why? Well, after the root note, it is the most crucial step in any mode. And there's a reason for that. Often the third is the only note that deviates noticeably from the mother mode, and often, as a consequence, the ear will look for it. It will seek it out for direction. And as another consequence, mastering the intervals of third is so crucial. As you learned in Chapter 2, the Dorian is a not happy mode as defined by its flat third and its flat 7. These 2 crucial steps allow you to start dabbling with the dark side without totally committing. And you know, this talk of the dark side and feelings and emotions, and it's time for you to start to decide. Listen to the Dorian. What does it make you feel? What do you think of? And remember, that will change based on how you play it. And earlier I had talked about the Dorian made me think about a foggy day, and that's because often when I play the Dorian or when I hear the Dorian, it just kind of reminds me of a good suspenseful mystery where there's a tense scene building up with an unknown outcome. And think about a tense scene in the fog, in a mystery or suspense or any kind of novel or such. The tense scenes in the fog don't always end up with something really not happy happening. And that's the best part. It builds tension, and then you decide where it goes. In a moment, I will demonstrate the intervals of thirds in both the Ionian mode and then in the Dorian mode. And as you know, the notes in both modes are exactly the same. What you will find in the Dorian mode is that the third step and the 7th step have changed their authentic relationship, their purity, as opposed to their designated locations as defined by the mother mode. As a result, since the designated locations have changed, the associated interval relationship reverses. That's it. It's that simple. It's that clear. This information is game-changing, and let me say it one more time. The objective is to determine which of the steps have changed their spacing as defined by their mother mode. And as you will find, whenever a step changes its traditional purity or its essence, the related interval will reverse. As you might expect, things change in the musical universe for other reasons, and to help some of these universal theories make more sense, I have developed my embed in your head rules. The first embed in your head rule applies on the fifth step of any mode when it comes to its interval of third. And when I say in any mode, again, we're only talking the 5 essential modes, and that matters. So when we're talking these 5 essential modes, which you know already, when you are on the fifth step of that mode, the third interval will always be mood related. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is if the mode is a happy mode, the 1 or the 4, the third interval will be traditional. If the mode is not a happy mode, which would be the 2, the 5, or the 6, then the third interval will be flat. Every time you reach the fifth step of that mode when doing the intervals of third, just remember what happiness mode or unhappiness mode that mood falls into. There's your answer. The next embed in your head rule applies to the sixth step when you're doing the intervals of third. And the rule is a very simple rule, and it goes exactly like this. When you reach the sixth step of your mode and you are doing your intervals of third, the third will always be flat unless the mode is a really not happy mode. And that would be the 3, 6, and 7. In that case, the interval of third on the sixth step is suddenly happy. It's a very unique concept, but is a way to apply the mode's happiness to an interval relationship. So please let me say it one more time. Whenever you're doing the intervals of thirds on the sixth step of that mode, when you go to do your interval third, just think of it as being flat, non-traditional, is negative. The 6 is just an angry number unless the mode is really not happy, 3, 6, or 7. In that case, the traditional interval, the third, will be used. It's a wild concept. Get used to it. And now for your third embed in your head third interval cheat rule. And this one applies to the 7th step. And it's much like the 5th interval cheat rule, where it applies to the happy modes, the 1 and the 4, and the modes that aren't happy, the 2, the 5, and the 6. Again, this only applies in the 5 essential modes, but they're the only ones we're using, as you know. And here it is. So when you are doing your intervals of 7s, if you're in a happy mode, the 1 or the 4, when you reach the 7th, the interval will be unhappy. It won't be traditional, it will be flat. If you are in one of the other modes, the 2, 5, or the 6, when you reach the 7th step, the interval will be happy or traditional. Crazy, I know.